partner in Alpha. The owner of Alpha is Ricardo and Alex, which is her brother. So two partners. So this is family business still. And Benito, on the other side, is the operational manager. So he run the whole show. This is where he hold a really important role. And I think it's just the way he is, as well as he has a background of engineering background as well. So he'll be able to introduce himself. Ricardo, I'm going to let you introduce yourself first to everyone. By the way, you know, I kind of like to give a little background about you, Jen, Maggie, and the rest of the group, JP, and everybody. I told them that a couple of you already investors and referred by, you know, Gina, my partner, as well as our good friend Stan. So, you know, this is kind of like a meet and greet and get to know the company better and get to know the people behind the company and the business. Go ahead, Ricardo, if you want to introduce yourself first, and then I go to Benito.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for, I mean, you already invested, so thanks for trusting in our project. Well, my name is Ricardo. I've been in the business for 23 years. So my background in logistics started with my dad. He worked for the railroad, for the Mexican railroad, his whole life, I will say 40 plus years. So then he retired from the railroad, being with that connection with the railroad. So gave us some of the background, and my brother, with the other business partner, he worked for the Union Pacific Railroad in Mexico City, in the main corporate. So this is how we learn about this, let's say, the intermodal business, which is basically moving freight from Mexico to USA and coming back. So that's how we learned. And so when the company started in the year 2000, I was still in college, but I was able to help on the process flows, on the SOPs, everything needed to run the company. And from there, I made a master's degree in the United States, and then I come back 100% on the company. We're specialized in intermodal. So probably you're aware already. So what intermodal means is moving freight in containers in different ways. So let's say the logistic chain is combined with a lot of with all the members of the chain. So the shipper, is the broker, carrier, the railroad, custom broker. So we are all in a chain to be able to make this way to deliver goods from Mexico to USA. Something very important is that 100% of our customers are US based. So we move everything from Mexico to USA or coming back to here. We have 23 years of good records, no failures at all in all this time. As Linda said, it's a family business. We're fully dedicated to this. We don't have any projects going on. This is 100% what we do. We have our customers, that is the brokers. We have established a great relationship. So one of the main focus or the main things that make this project very interesting is that all the platform is already in place. And the nearshoring right now, the nearshoring means all the factories located in Mexico that are moving from China to Mexico. Well, this is not new. This has been for a long time. But in the last, let's say, 2-3 years, it's exploding even more. So they realize that Mexico is a better option than China. So slowly, everything is moving to Mexico with very interesting investments. So what is happening is that instead of shipping from China directly to the United States to make the finished product, now it's being shipped from China to Mexico, or we even have the vendors in Mexico manufacturing the product and then ship it to USA. What is the advantages of all this? As we know already, is first is the distance. Even though it's another country, you can have the goods delivery by next day in case of an emergency. And by intermodal, which is 7 days, it's a very consistent service. So customers love it because they can have their products on the rail, the inventory is on the rail, and they save space on their facilities. Other advantages is the so qualified labor in Mexico. the cost of labor is way cheaper than United States. And it doesn't mean that we take advantage of the people. No, not at all. I mean, we pay good salaries, we have qualified people, but the cost of living, that's what makes the difference, right? So you can be able, so it's a win-win situation because you have people that are making good money for the country, they having a really good quality of life, but for the US companies, it's a great savings for their companies. If you ask me, I don't know what is going to happen eventually. That we sell 20, 30 years, I will say United States will become just a consuming country, and probably just going to be more like a warehousing and distribution rather than actually production. Probably will take more time than that, but I know eventually it's going to happen. What else can I tell you? We're already working on the first round of investments. We have equipment that we bought it and it's running already. And I think I'm covered pretty much it. I will let Benito talk to you about the actual operation. And I don't know if Linda, you have a question. You want me to add something?
We just go to Benito to introduce himself, and then like you probably show his role in the company.
Yeah, Benito let me introduce Benito. Benito, first of everything, he's my friend. He's like my brother. I know him from a long time. We were together in college. And since there, we noticed that we can have a really good way to work together. Then Benito went to industrial engineering, and he was working in 3M, the factory 3M. You know, they make everything. And later on, he was working as a consultant all over South America in different factories. And his last job was in Costa Rica. He was a consultant. But one of the companies where he was making the consultant hired him as a general manager. So he was doing really good. Then I called him, and I told Benito, the company is growing. I need your vision. I need your capacity. I need your abilities. He trusts me. He jumped with us in this project. Besides being the operation manager, he's also he's not an investor, but with his own money and his own resources, he's been buying trucks. So he's part of the company as a contractor with us. He's also the general manager. So he has his own company that works 100% for us. He's the general manager. And what can I tell you? I mean, he's the man.
Well, let Benito introduce himself.
Yeah, hi to everyone. Hi to everyone. Thanks, Ricardo, for those words. As you mentioned, well, my background is industrial engineering as well. Back in those days, about 20 years ago, when we left the college, right after, as well as Ricardo, I do also have an MBA on business management. And then I spent almost 9 years working for 3M as a manufacturing engineer. Right after, I went to South America as a manufacturing consultant. I spent about 3 years traveling down practically all South America. One of my last customers hired me as a manufacturing director for the company. So basically what I did back in those days, I shut down different companies that this company used to own. I closed operation in Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, and Honduras, and I transferred all the plant back to Costa Rica. So I shut down operation and restart operations fully assembled in Costa Rica. I spent about 7 years living in Costa Rica until I get I do remember it was in April that Ricardo called me, and he invited me to be part of the company. And I said, I didn't think it twice. I was already bored from living in Costa Rica. It can happen. I mean, it's a nice country, but it happens. So I need a rush in my life. So I moved all the way up to Mexico once again and start from zero 12 years ago, practically. And I became a trucker. That's what I call myself. Now I am a trucker. And as a matter of fact, let me share with you something. One of my drivers leave me this in the surveillance. I can show you a little bit apart, but my 1028, it's my nickname as a trucker, the El Veno. So I can show you the rest of the flag because it is, well, there's not a lot.
Not appropriate.
There's no kids, but psychologists guys made me this.
Well, we need to explain the meaning of that flag to the guys, but okay.
Yeah, we'll explain that, but every single truck driver here in Mexico has one of these
Yeah, not in the States where
in Mexico. So I became a trucker. I know how to, I learned the business from ground. I mean, I am the guy that has the boot on the ground all day long. Not only I manage the operational part, I do manage right now all the administration, capital, human capital, accounting, finance, collecting, customer service, and everything. It is all together here in our headquarters.
do you think it will be too difficult from your computer? Just kind of take a quick glance, just at the team and the jar, and I don't know if you can.
Let me tidy up this together first before we move forward to that. And then just prepare that, Benito. Prepare some of the stuff probably you wanna if you wanna show through the computer. But I just wanna let you guys know my relationship with Ricardo and Benito. Doesn't happen overnight. It's not like all of a sudden I wake up in the morning and I was like, okay, let's just do this, No, I know Ricardo, I think about 5-6 years ago, through my partner. So if you probably heard about my story from, Stan or Tina, I mean, when finance is my background, it's been 3 decades, and real estate, maybe about 20 years, I've been in all aspects of real estate investment. So I start with fund manager first. I start with Wall Street. So I'm going mixing right now. So real estate is actually the afterthought. So I came from Wall Street. I have Series 6, 7, all that. And then real estate, and as financial advisor, I also have life insurance. So personal life, I have to go back and forth Indonesia, build a resort, working like several different hotel management, but I also raise capital for Indonesian government in the terms of green energy, like nuclear, molten water salt, as well as military drone. I know, but I'm not a spy. I just get referred to raise money for the country. And I didn't know at that time, that's what we call it, capital raiser. I mean, I just like to connect the dot. And with that, I have a large connection worldwide. So raising capital on resort hotel, I usually have investor in Hong Kong, Thailand and Singapore. So in one day, sometimes I have breakfast in Singapore, lunch in Thailand, because they're all really close, and dinner back in Indonesia. So it's just crazy time. And that was, I think, I took that job as a CFO and then CEO for that new development, because 2008, 2009, Citibank, which is the last position I ever been as W2. I used to be a commercial underwriter with Citi. That was my last position. And when I see mortgage being wiped out, the whole department being wiped out, I get scared. I'm a single mom. So I was thinking, you know what? My job is actually not secure. So with that in mind, I always looking for opportunity, and I run into a family member who need me to take over the company in Indonesia. So I based in Bali, back and forth for a few years. My son get abused. I came from abused relationship. So my son get abused, so I have to come back. When I came back, I have nothing. So I was in, basically with attorney, I have to get my son's sole custody and all that. It's just a mess. But long story short, because I did not have anything, and then I kind of like hesitate to go back to American corporate. They took so long for Citi to put me back on the position. So it got me thinking that, do I want it back? Just after I'll be able to build something like that, then, and thinking that sky is the limit, it's very hard for me to put myself back in the box. So with that in mind, I was thinking that, I just have real estate license, I have life insurance license, I have to be able to make money out of those two. So I went to all my good clients from banking days and kind of like, asked for help basically. So I said, I don't have any money. Everything just wiped out. I was bleeding money because I'm a court and stuff like that. But I know that I can make money. So, they give me like deals, selling real estate. But because of my background is commercial, by default, I've been buying and selling commercial real estate, from commercial clients. And long story short, I also know that if I didn't take a leap of faith, my son, two of my kids were pretty much close to, graduate from high school, and pretty soon it's going to be in high school and college. I will not be able to catch up. As you know, commission based, it's up, it's up and down, right? I mean, it's just not consistent. So I went to one person that's, Pablo. His name is Pablo. I went to him. He's my client, used to be my client in banking. And then I went to him, I told him that I do not have any money, but I know how to make money. Say, if you up for it, can we partner? And then we buy investment property, we flip it, and then the profit, we split it 50-50. I thought he's gonna say no, because all the risk is on him. I'm only time and basically, work. And few seconds, he said that, let's do it. That changed everything, right? So it's get me like up to my pace quickly. And for him also, we built, the real estate business for him, like, faster than anything else. And long story short, Pablo core business is always logistic, always in trucking. So when I know him 2 decades ago, when I was in, banking days, I know him as a, people who has the trucking business. And because I give loan and things like that, I usually audit, businesses, right? And in banking, we love 2 industries. One is health, the other one is logistic, because the profit margin is very high. So when I audited, like, Pablo, I understand about logistic. I understand about how the money movement and things like that. I understand about, the up and down of the business. So long story short, Pablo and Ricardo used to receive award together in Chicago, like that back like 6 years ago, So when Ricardo want to move back to, remember, I partner up with Pablo in real estate, right? So Pablo has a lot of commercial real estate and all free and clear with one source of income, which is logistic. That's how profitable trucking is. And it never go down, never. This is really very consistent. So Pablo introduced me to Ricardo over the phone. Ricardo was in Mexico. Linda, can you find a house for Ricardo to move in Irvine? And I was thinking, okay, I find the house, and I find a house for the family. I met the wife, and every time they come over here, I always show them like houses that until they move in. I help with the whole move in situation at that time, including internet.
Everything.
Modern, everything. Basically, at that process, make me get, understand Ricardo more. And what I understand when I was in banking, the risk on logistic is only one, and one only, the driver. The same thing like when we open a restaurant, right? The labor, when you're dealing with human, it's kind of like up and down, right? It's very hard to, the risk has become higher. It's very hard to mitigate sometimes. So when I heard from Ricardo and I learned about the business at that time, I learned the Alphas actually mitigate that risk really well. One, they have their own driver school. So they groom their drivers. And that, for me, that's like genius, but how you going to put it right here in the United States, right? It's only be able to happen in Mexico. 2, the culture of the company. As you know, culture is everything now. Like, with tech, we creating culture. Culture is the one that unite the company, but it's very hard too. It has to start from the leaders, right? So the culture of the company, in my opinion, as a finance person, was the glue of everything. It's kind of like family owned business, and down to the very bottom, which is sometimes I went over there, right? The driver is the husband, the wife is in accounting, and they have HR. The niece is in HR. So it's like, the whole family is basically work in the same company. And I have to give a lot of credit to Ricardo family, Alex and Ricardo, and also your parents, because I met everybody. Before I do this, I met everyone, including their mom, and then basically asking if I'm gonna do this, everybody has to on board, and I'm asking their blessing, right? So I met with Benito. I know Benito really well by now. He's a very genuine person that I think from the operational day-to-day, he is the glue. I remember when we even have a meeting over there, and he knew everybody family situation, right? What happened, somebody get divorced and another kid need to be picked up from school and things like that. He knew everything. And that's, I think, the part that has something to do with the culture. So no, we have two. We have one driver school, and we have the culture. And the third one, I think the one that we be able to accelerate the company to even further is the IT department. That was, I think, the make and break it. So they have their own IT department. So they have the apps. So the apps is the one that keeping up with everything else. So the app will tell the driver when to rest, and the app will tell the driver, the truck, doesn't matter the condition, broken or not broken or whatever it is, certain mileage, you have to go to maintenance. So it's kind of like the system is already running on its own. Not only the system, operational system, but the mitigation of the risk, the highest risk, which is the driver, that being handled by the driver school, as well as the culture. So go back to that, Ricardo and Pablo, when they introduced me, when I understand how Alpha mitigate the risk, I went back to Pablo. Hey, you complain so much about like driver and things like that every Mondays. As a partner, every Monday, I have to listen to him complaining, oh, this driver is doing this and that for 1 or 2 hours. And then I would say, that's it. And I say, he always said that I'm going to leave the business. I'm not going to do this anymore. But that was every Monday for a few years. He never really left the business because he knew the business is the one who give him, a lot of profit to be able to build the real estate empire that he has right now. Right. So I told Pablo, why don't you work together with Ricardo, import the driver, get the visa, import the driver, and going back and forth, then you don't have a problem anymore with driver. Because here, looking for the driver, one, they don't want to work, even though you already can increase the rate. Then two, there is a workers' comp attorneys that always soliciting the driver and say that, hey, yeah, they haven't paid you overtime. They haven't. So it's always a struggle, always that. So when they took my idea, Ricardo is basically like, find a loophole. Yeah, we can import the driver. So that actually helping Pablo to handle that situation, like the whole driver situation. Then because of everything worked together, so I went with Ricardo. Ricardo at that time is already invested in some of my project. I have flipping, I have all that, he just dumped in the money. Hey, okay, here, I wanna invest with you. And I said, so he already did. So it's my turn. So I went to him. I always in the back of my head, always looking for opportunity, just a nature of probably a single mom and also an immigrant, and I grew up in an environment that's none of my family member actually work for anybody. I grew up in Indonesia. So looking for opportunity and things like this is already in my blood. So when I see logistic being like, cash flow driven, high profit and stuff like that, I was interested at that time. However, do I want to open logistic company? My answer is no. There's no way I'm going to open the logistic company from scratch. But do I want to invest in logistic? Yes, I want to invest in logistics. So I went to Ricardo. I remember this. I went to Ricardo and I said, hey, you need any capital? He said, no. I don't want any investor. We don't even have any loan. So the whole asset that he has actually from the profit, and then he slowly build it up. So the company owned all the asset and playground, which is usually logistic company like Pablo and stuff like that. They don't own the asset. Some of them leasing, some of them have other people who has truck, and they kind of like work together. The same thing like Benito and Ricardo now. But for Alpha, they own everything. They own the department, they have gasoline tank in the, it's very sustainable, and they own everything. They own the property. So it's free and clear. So this is I think is more a culture too. I think as Asian, we also think cash is king, and we don't want to owe anything to anybody, right? The same thing with them, but because we do have relationship, finally, especially I already let them invest in my project. So I kind of like slowly planting the seed. It's like, you wanted to try, like, get 1-2 trucks. So I start to doing 50,000, and I adding it. And I'm the only one. I'm the only one a few years ago that invested in Ricardo. But that's helped me out throughout the whole COVID, right? When you are diversified, and then they have higher profit and like something like that, it's continue. They want to close during COVID, but they can't. It's just essential, business that has to open regardless. Everybody closed down. The same thing. It's not going to do anything. Recession 2008, nothing happened to logistic at all. They don't get affected at all. Okay, so with our investment and stuff like that, then I listen to ATM. There's gas and oil. There's this and that, and basically like, I remember, okay, we can syndicate anything, So do I want to share something that I have to everyone, especially like, family and friends? Yes, absolutely. That was the only thing that is my mind. I never want to leave it evergreen. I remember that I told Ricardo, let's just try $500,000, so that my sister and everybody be able to, invest. We created 506B. And at that time, he also say no. I don't want to do it, Linda. I mean, it's going to be like, a lot of it's going to be a lot of work. And then I told him that, look at the news now, At that time, we already see nearshoring, and Tesla has not opened yet. Tesla hasn't, announced the news that they open it near Monterey. But I told him that, my gut feeling, this is gonna be the next China. It's there. It's just starting with trade war. Remember, like a few years ago, that where they blocked out, and then I remember I invested in Indonesia crochet, factory with my partner, just because of the crochet factory in China closed down. Is with the SAC, SAK, New York. So the SAC get like completely. There's no merchandise. So my friend in Indonesia pick up that 90% move right away to Indonesia, and we have to train a lot of farmers' wife to crochet because they need to pick up the rest of the order. So I already know that it's gonna be shifting. I already know that there's only two countries that be able to do the nearshoring with United States, that United States choose, which is Canada and Mexico. However, based on labor and regulation, I think Canada is still way too expensive, So that's why they move everything to Mexico. Did Mexico gonna be like this all the time? My answer is no. This is actually the sweet time that I think for big company to try to figure it out, to lay out a foundation of operational plant in Mexico. It will take some time. However, in the next decade, I think we have about 10 years to do this, maybe a little bit more. But after that, I'm pretty sure that people who are seeing it, that an opportunity, and there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that hasn't been picked up yet. They try to open the operational, in Mexico. However, it's not going to be easy, right? Because there's culture involved. You have to understand the culture of the country to be able to hire a lot of labor from that particular country, right? So it will take some time. It will take some time for a big company to figure this one out. And I told them the same thing. Do you want to pick up now, or you want to wait until everybody else, try to settle down, and then you do it? That you're gonna be struggling. Now people just like dumping in, okay, I need to produce this, I need to. building a factory to produce something is way faster than building the operational logistics. Hands down. You know, so the factory will come up a lot faster, new factory than in comparison to having a big company to have intermodal to that size. So they are the largest right now intermodal company in logistic company that specifically focus on intermodal. Intermodal is the sweet spot for every factory if they can to take advantage of, because it's the most cost efficient. They not fluctuate a lot with diesel price. They only drop off in railroad and then pick up yet another railroad. So the longest journey is actually to railroad. So because of that, and the container is actually double the size than the ocean freight or any other land transportation, right? So bigger, they can be able to pick up the big company, like has a bigger merchandise like cars, BMW, you know, tires, P&G also their clients. I'm pretty sure that you guys like go through the deck already, and then that's the list of the existing client that already have. So we brought in Chris at that time in webinar, as well as when we were in Glendale to do presentation. From Chris alone, okay, we're not even touching the rest of the corporation. I was introduced to Chris also on my trip to Mexico by accident. I thought they're just friends. And all of a sudden I asked Chris, how come you know so much about Alpha? Well, I'm their client. Okay, so I asked Chris, okay, if we gonna buy truck, how much load that you can give it to Alpha? You know, and he said that if we bringing like this many truck, I said 10 to 20. How many more that you be on? 5%. 5% only, you know. So meaning like, even though we got 10, 20 truck, 50 truck, or more than that, it's not enough to pick up just one company, you know, percentage of load. Endless. That's how, you know, it's 50,000 to 80,000 to buy one truck, right? So how many that we gonna bring? I mean, it's just like, I'm not talking only to Chris. They're not even going to different company that already, you know, in their portfolio to tell them that, oh, I have additional truck, and then they don't. I'm pretty sure once they pick up the phone and then say that, okay, we can carry more, they will be able to pick up because they already have history with them. So the reason why I'm so comfortable doing this, because we're not trying to expand the infrastructure. We're gonna use the same drivers. We're gonna use the same accounting drivers. Maybe we have to add. However, there's no additional salespeople. There's no additional engineering. There's no additional IT. There's nothing. The same infrastructure. Meaning what? The operational cost is gonna be the same. It's solely gonna pick up the loads that they have not been able to pick up yet. You know, all this time because of the movement of the factory that's faster than the ability of logistic company to provide the trucks. So I guess like I'm just trying to tie it up on both ends together, and like how my history with them, and I'm not just waking up in the middle of a one day that's, you know what, let's just do that. No, I just see it. And I also experienced it myself for a few years investing with Ricardo, you know, and it was just very solid. And I can see that this is only going to get better, you know, and I just want to be there in the right timing. It will not going to be like this. I think Ricardo knows that too. We're not gonna have a party all the time, but you know, this is one of the time that we should, you know, jump in head first. So, Ricardo, Benito, if you wanna, unless you guys have any question,
you let me add something. If you let me add something really quick that I took note when we were talking, is as you said, Chris alone, he has worked for us, and we have 20 plus broker customers right now. 20 plus, that is our, you know, our main customers. Every single one of them have more loads that we can chew right now. So I mean, all the time, this is always capacity to move more loads. So that's what made us also, you know, as a company, be able to say, okay, because I mean, getting into debt is something we try to avoid at all costs. But it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Once we start talking to Linda, it's like, okay, you have the loads, you have the infrastructure, you have this. What else do you need? We say, well, we need money. Now, we have been buying the trucks with our own resources. However, you will say, well, why don't you keep buying yourself? Well, we've been buying by ourselves. Actually, last year we bought 10 trucks. So it was over $500,000 in investment. And we bought it with our own money. So the plan for this year was not to buy anything and just, trying to collect again, and trying to save money again. But now we are attacking in two ways. One way is with the investment, so we can buy the trucks, we can get more loads, and we also can save our money. One question that may arise later on is, okay, how are you going to be able to pay the loan and get still profit? So the thing is, of course, the profit is going to be less, because we're going to have to share the interest and pay the loan. But even worst case scenario, we don't make any profit because we have to pay the loan, which is not going to happen. But still, we're getting assets that is going to give us the opportunity to have more loads. And at the end of this period of time, the assets are going to belong to us, and we can just keep going and going and going and increasing the loads. I will think eventually, in probably next year or the year after, we will increase the infrastructure. If the fund keeps raising, yeah, I think we will increase the capacity. For now, in the short time, there's no need to add anything else. Just get the money, buy the trucks. As Linda said, just drivers. That's something that we will need. But other than that, we're ready to roll. We're ready to roll. The other thing is, so I have a key customer. Yeah, I already mentioned that every customer is US based. Okay. There are companies in Mexico and in USA, brokers like JB Hunt, Schneider. They are billionaires companies, multi-billionaires companies that they could go to Mexico and buy 100,000 trucks and start running. They have tried in the last 10 years to do that. None of them have success doing that because they don't know Mexico. They don't know how it works. So what brokers say, you know what? Let's make the Mexico carriers to deal with that. We're not gonna do it by ourselves. So that gave us a security that, I mean, there is not gonna come any super big company in USA to invest in trucking. Not invest, they could invest, but not to do it by themselves. There's no way they're gonna do it. So that gives us the safety that we're gonna be in the market for, I will say, long time. That's what I want to add. And Benito, you want to show a little bit of the team and the...
Oh, Benito, probably you want to show I know you have a toy right there. The toy that you were showing to me last time when I was in the office. The intermodal, the truck. Is that behind your desk? Oh, yeah. Because I think that was the best way to show what intermodal is. Because some people just don't have any,
Well, let me see if you can see it here. These are my trucks. These are my intermodal containers from different customers. And basically what Linda was telling us is that the only thing that we do here is moving these kind of containers. Let me share some views from my yard right now. I go to my balcony. Let me take you this. This is
okay. So yeah. So they basically the whole facility has everything, right? They have that, and then in the back, I think it's right on the left. See, on the left, they have like the tank for the gas right there. And the other one, yeah. And then the maintenance is right there, not next to it. And that's right there, I think, where you guys doing barbecue.
Right.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, maintenance is at the back.
Okay, so maintenance is part of the team. Do you have the own maintenance?
It's in the facility.
Yeah, we do our own maintenance and shop.
Yeah. So it has the same facility.
Operations
HR, operations right there, and then the HR is next to that gazebo, and then there is a bedrooms on the other side. So for driver to take a nap, they have like the whole a few drivers. So this is all the scheduling. Yeah.
Well, Carmen is blonde now.
Yeah, she's gone now. Used to be a
Yeah, so you guys, if you have any questions or, you know, for Ricardo and Benito or myself,
Yeah.
the floor is open.
I do. Hi there, Payman. Nice to meet you. Thanks for all the information. I had a couple of quick questions for you. So, and again, a couple of these maybe they were provided in the slide deck. I had just kind of high level reviewed it. So question one would be is that, you know, the return on investment at 18% is a very nice, you know, ROI. So the question would be is why not tap into other sources that would have a lower interest rate in essence, you know, so that would be my first question. And then the second question, I guess you answered this already. I'm assuming this goes mostly towards equipment, in that where would the funds be put towards? Maybe you answered that. I'm assuming it's for the equipment or buying more trucks. And yeah, those were my two questions. Thanks.
Okay, let me answer that. Because your question is actually being asked a lot, Raymond. So okay, again, it's just more about the culture that probably most people don't understand. So if somebody know Alex, Ricardo's brother, older brother, is a very proud man. Very proud man, and it's not easy to get close to. It took me over tequilas. Even like in the, you know, we hang out at the a few days in Mexico, and you know, he was the one who's actually the hardest one to convince to accept any investment. And I asked that question to them too, like, you know, you have a very good, you know, financial. You don't want to get something from loan from the bank, you know, like, you know, why don't you leverage like that? And he said, no, why? They're asking so many things. They're asking for this, they're asking for that. So he was just up to here, and then tell them that, you know what, if you don't trust me, don't even bother, because we can survive on our own. So I guess my approach is from the friendship, right? Something they never tried before. They never try to leverage, any leverage they never tried, just because of they just don't like the procedure. The bank is the bank, the lender is the lender. They need to see everything. They're gonna make it so hard for you. You have to pledge this, you have to do this, you have to do that, to the point that Alex doesn't want to do it, you know? And because of that, I come in and say, how about if we don't have to go to that? I can provide the money like pretty quickly. Would you willing to do that? It's like, let me think about it. But then, you know, we get closer. I know the whole family. And one time I think I remember, like, you know, we were drinking tequila. It's like midnight already. So Ricardo, myself, and Alex, Benito bailed on us, you know, we just have dinner, and I was like, I have to go home. So three of us basically near, they have a house near the lake, so it's pretty much like hanging out over there. And I asked Alex, I said, hey, if this is you know, this is the plan, you know, I want to know your vision, you know, your vision. What do you see the company? So starting from that, I want him to dream about something, right? I want him to, you know, and he said that, well, I'm thinking about the airplane, I'm thinking about cargo plane and stuff like that. I haven't mentioned to Garden, wow, if you have that, how are you going to get the money? You know, maybe you not be able to do it in the next 10 years, you know, you're going to be in the business for that long, like, you know, meaning like you're not going to retire. So I think it got him thinking. And at that time, it's like, you know what, let's do it, you know, and truly at that time, I just want to test it out with $500,000. Not knowing that the response is pretty high. And that was the only reason. It's just not, it's not anything else. Yes, right now, if they figure out everything and everything line up, and Alex all of a sudden said that, okay, you know what, Ricardo, let's do this, let's just take a loan, then this is closed down. We're not taking
Has this been is this the there was another investment prior just like this?
No.
Or okay, this would be the first one. Okay.
This is the first. The first investment is mine.
Okay.
I would like to add something, if you don't mind.
And let me answer the second question. The second question is all the money right now, it goes to trucks. buying trucks and dry vans. There's nothing go to operational, there's nothing going, it's all 100% going to truck again, because we don't need to expand the infrastructure just yet.
Okay, so essentially though, for let's say if a what is the total amount that you're looking to raise? I didn't catch that.
Oh, it's right. Well, the intention is half. For now, it's close to 2, but we just doing it in a few months.
Got it. So if let's say if 1 million is raised, essentially your cost is $1 million almost. You know, it's 1.7, so about $700,000. So there, the margin is that high that you're justifying that by almost a 2x expense, 1.7. That in 4 years, there will be no problems to return the primary investment plus the 18% per year. And additionally, the 18% is locked, or is this based on certain conditions? So if business doesn't go as planned, the 18 can drop to something else, or is this locked at that rate?
It's locked at that rate. So this is not like the multifamily. It's pretty much like the business model is the fund will buy the truck. We use the truck as collateral. They leases the truck from the fund. And at the end of the 4th year, they buy back from us. So the lease is over, basically. So I make it very simple. They gross profit is up to 250% per year. So for them to, to get even like at that time, I mean, in the beginning when I invest and I get 30, and then it's just very consistent.
And for my reference, what's the cost of the average truck that you're looking to purchase?
50 to 80,000, around that, right, Ricardo?
50 to 80. It depends on the route that we are going to dedicate to that truck, but I would think 80 could be more the.
This is a purchase of an actual. This would be the truck itself, not the load. And this is brand new, or is it used?
It's used, probably 4 years.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's
that's
2
what
types that we
wouldn't go
purchase.
for that price. Okay.
There's 2 types that we purchase. We purchased the head of the truck with the right, and also we bought the dry van. The dry van is the back with the wheel.
Okay.
So we have to do it.
And you currently have how many full trucks?
We have 60 right now, and we hire owner operators. So we provide service in North Mexico with a total fleet of 105.
Okay.
Not all of them work at the same time. Some of them are in the shop, some of them need drivers, but that's kind of what to do.
Okay.
You have to also consider that the interest rates in Mexico are not as great as in United States.
I'm curious, what are they? Just for my curiosity.
It could be between 12 to 50% a year. But as Linda said, it's a nightmare to get approved. Now, they want us to show a huge amount of taxes that we pay. You understand how business works. So they see the numbers and they say, okay, yeah, you make a lot, but then, I mean, the process is so exhausting. And if the rate will be 4% or 5%, it probably worth, all the process, but the interest rate is not great.
Got it.
Something like, and it's very common. That's why Mexican companies, they try usually to, unless you don't have an option, but it's better to just, and that makes the growing slower. That's when they're all happening. The opportunities here in the States are very different.
Okay, yeah, that answers my question. Yeah, no further questions from my end.
I missed it, Ricardo, but how many trucks do you guys currently have that you purchased, with your own money, not
We
with
have
the fund?
60, Benito?
60?
Yes, and as Ricardo mentioned, we are using as well owner operators across Mexico. So we are getting about 105 different trucks moving nationwide.
Now, something that affects us a little bit on the cash flow is that the owner operators, they usually don't give a lot of credit. They want the load paid in the same week, pretty much. So it's a huge amount of cash flow that we need to have in the bank, because the owner operator is usually people that they are not super financially stable. You know what I mean? So they want to make a load and they want to have the payment right away. If they make a load during this week from Monday to Friday, they want to cut on Thursday and they want their money this Saturday. But for us, it takes us 35, 40 days, 45 days, 60 days to collect the money. So it's a huge movement of cash flow with the owner operators, and we cannot afford to, let's say, okay, let's buy 5 trucks and then we leave the bank with no money. No way, because we have to cover the people that are helping us with the operation.
When you say operator, sorry, what do you mean? Who is the operator?
Owner
It-
operators is a person that owns one truck that he drives by himself, and they can work for us. We give them loads, and then we have to pay them. That's something we have to do to cover all the extra capacity that we are not able to handle right now.
Okay.
They basically sub it to,
Subcontracting.
contractor, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And so that's it kind of like hurts the cash flow because you're saying that you have to pay them or sorry, what about the 30 to 60 days? What were you saying
We
about
collect the money from the customer in 30 days.
that? Okay, 10 days.
And we have to pay the owner operator within a week.
Okay.
Now, if we get more capacity, hiring a big company like us, it wouldn't make sense because the rate is going to be pretty much the same. So it wouldn't make sense to take a load, let's say for $100, and then subcontract another big company that they're going to charge us probably the same $100 or $90 or $95. So if we're going to make a profit of $5, doesn't make sense. So we have to either do it by ourselves with our own trucks or get owner operators, like a small, really small company with only one driver. But the thing is that this tells you that we have capacity to cover.
Right.
We're talking about probably 40 owner operators right now.
Okay.
How many trucks does the fund currently own right now?
Us?
The fund?
Yeah, the fund itself.
Oh, the fund have the 10, it's 12 by now, 12 drive-bys. It's going to be 14 next month. And trucks is already 6 trucks.
Okay.
That's the inventory we have right now.
So just want to let you know, buying trucks also the same thing like, cars right now, the inventory is low. The same with truck. The truck's inventory right now is really low. So to buy a truck, it need to be cash. They're not going to even release it. And buying the truck. So that's why I think we make it evergreen, when we switch it to 506C and make it evergreen, it's perfect because it come in, it's not in lump sum, as the investor coming in, because we can use that to reserve, to put a down payment and reserve some of the truck first. So by the time, more money coming in, we just grab it. And usually the same thing like multifamily, they only, the seller of the truck only go to the big players, the big guys. They know if they know they're going to pay, they know they have cash. So they reserve it for those people. So those company, if you are just mom and pop, usually it's very hard to get the truck right now or drive in. I just want to add it like this.
And you know what? Nowadays, even though if you have like the cash in front and you get to a dealership, hey, I have this cash. Nowadays, there is no difference between credit and cash in terms of the dealership. So let's say I cannot get to a dealership. Oh, I'm going to pay you cash. Can you give me 10% off because it's a better deal compared to a guy that is financial? They say, no, it's the same. Because the guy that is financially, the bank is going to pay me. So there is no point on making it. And I'm going to go through the same problem. If I go directly with the dealership, the interest rate is not going to be great. They probably don't even going to pay attention because they say, well, I have already the product sold. So it gives us a lot of power of negotiation, having the cash in hand.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. You guys were saying earlier how you guys have about 20 plus clients currently. So I guess I had a question. I guess with these clients, typically they use one logistics company, right? Because you were saying that they have like all these inventory that's waiting for, I guess for trucks to deliver them, and there's more than enough. And that's why a reason for you guys to continue growing, to provide more trucks so they can deliver more for them. So typically they just use one logistics company to do all the delivery, or do they have multiple contracts with different logistics company?
They have multiple.
Multiple? They do use multiple logistics company. Okay.
Because the customer for us is not the shipper. So let's say my customer is not LG, for instance, or Michelin or Samsung, or my customer is a broker. So the broker is the one that tells me, oh, now go to Michelin, now go to Goodyear, now go to Colgate. So the broker is the one that tells me where to go. And the broker is the one that has a lot of carriers to fulfill the service. And the shipper is the one that hires brokers. And the shipper could have different brokers.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, and I guess I was looking at the deck earlier, and I was wondering, on top of like additional volume that you guys are trying to get with the additional trucks, right? In terms of like the cost per order, I was kind of calculating the average cost revenue per income, the average income per order, because you had like this table on the deck that says, in 2020, what was the gross income and how many orders you guys, made, and same thing for 2021 and 2022. And I saw that, the average was trending upwards from 2020 to 2023. I'm sorry, 2022. So it's like it went from like $262 average cost per order to $304 cost per order in 2022. And then the projected cost per order for 2023 kind of went down a little bit to $283. And so I was just kind of wondering, in terms of revenue growth for your company, like obviously you're attacking the volume side, right, with adding more trucks to your inventory and drivers as well. But in terms of like the average cost, is there any what does that look like in your industry? Is there a lot more potential to increase the cost, or does it pretty much stay relatively the same? And why do you think it's going to go down in 2023?
Well, that is a great analysis that you're making. So intermodal, what they try to do is to be efficient. Okay, so let me put you an example. In Mexico, there are 4 ramps. You see the country, they are strategically located, separate. So if a customer, let's say a customer in Monterrey, wants to ship something to the United States, they will choose the closest ramp that they have to their facility. So for us, we are called the last mile or the first mile. Either way, it could be the last mile if we deliver, or the first mile if we pick up. But the long haul, the really long haul, is on the rail. The short haul is the one that we make. So you're right, we have loads that could be as cheap as $90, and we can go all the way to what could be like the really highest, Benito, probably 800?
2,000.
But that's very rare.
Yeah, it depends.
The really vast majority is small. I mean, I will say, yeah, we have, for instance, San Luis to Querétaro is $400. Local deliveries are $90. So you're right, we're attacking volume. Definitely, we're attacking volume. And
we go after the volume, and it depends on the mix that our customers are handling as they are selling the trips or selling the loads. It will depend, even though the season. For instance, right now we are moving a lot of expensive loads that as we are moving a lot of tequila to the States, and those loads are about $1,000 each trip. So we are moving a lot of that. So that index that you're telling us will increase depending on the season. Usually increase a lot by the end of the year, second half of the year, as the States and everyone is getting ready for the Christmas and all the Thanksgiving and everything. So they are importing to the States a lot of liquor and spirits beverage. Those trips are quite expensive, and we change a lot the mix that we are currently handling.
Now, if we have an expensive load, it will mean that truck is going to be probably on the road for 2 days. So it's going to make $1,000 for in 2 days. You can have a truck that is going to make 2 or 3 loads for 300 or 200. It's going to be 600 a day, and the next day he's going to make another 3 loads. So what was better for us? I will say the long haul is a little better, because it's less movement. But the idea of the intermodal is just be the last mile or the first mile. That's what is really our niche, and that is why we are able to buy trucks from 4 years old or 5 years old, because it's not like we are driving 2,000 miles or 3,000 miles in one load. So we are doing really shorter loads,
Yeah,
which allow us to be in the yard every day or pretty much every 2 days. So we are close to anything that could happen, you know, like a breakdown, like a maintenance, like whatever. They are rolling close to us. We don't have trucks that are really far away from us. They are really very close. They're in the area. And it's also an advantage for the drivers. They love the fact that max is going to be 2 days out of home, max, but mostly they're going to be able to be at home same day.
yes, that is something that give us a head in advantage from some other kind of logistics. That, as Ricardo mentioned, the driver is always about at the most 6 hours away from home. If if anything happens, he is able to come back the same day. So you can have an idea. Our longest longest hauling should be around 350 miles radio out of the Rams. Basically, it's a long hauling could be from San Luis Potosí all the way to Guadalajara, and there's about 6 hours driving in truck and 350 miles most.
Okay, so is there a reason why you guys, is it to be conservative that for 2023 projected like you know the per order average to be a bit lower than historic?
Yeah, you know, there are two factors. One, we don't know exactly how many more trucks we're going to get. We were trying just to predict a little bit the road. You can see an increase because remember I told you we did invested on the last couple of years in 10 trucks. So that was increased. We were not going to increase at all. But now with the fund, we are going to increase. And honestly, we're just trying to predict what is going to happen because we don't know how many more we're going to get.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think you guys have been conservative by making the average a little bit lower in your predictions.
Yeah, we will know more by the end of the year. Once we know what we were able to secure, I think we will have a better scenario.
Okay, gotcha. So I have two other questions. First of all, you guys are obviously a private company in Mexico. And and I know you're in charge of accounting, you know, finance and accounting, Benito. So do you guys have, I don't know if there's like any sort of like audit that goes on? Do you produce financials or anything like that?
Well,
Like,
you know what, our company, there is this is very common, especially in the border towns, like in Laredo, and especially in trucking. There are some banks that are specialized in trucking, where we as a Mexican company, we are able to open a US bank account. So 100% of our customers are US based, and they pay us here in the United States. Then we have to move the money to Mexico and pay everything in Mexico. But if you see from a financial point or for a transaction point, everything is deposited here in the States. The actual accounting is made in Mexico because there is a law that even though you have a bank in the USA, once we open the account, the bank asks us for our IRS number, everything. And they report directly to the authorities in Mexico. They say, okay, this company moved this X amount of money. Then we make the financials in Mexico, and those numbers, those financials, is the one that usually is the issue when we start getting, you know, trying to get a loan or whatever, because they just ask for this, that, and that, and that, and they start. One of the things that they say, but and honestly, it's hard to believe, but sometimes they don't understand. They say, but how are you moving money from Mexico to the States to Mexico? Where is this money coming from? And they explain, well, we come from the broker, it goes this way. And they say, no, it doesn't make sense. And oh my God, it's so difficult to deal with all these banking issues. But on the other hand, it gives us the advantage to move to US customers. So we want to keep doing it. As a matter of fact, we don't take domestic loads in Mexico right now. We only take USA loads.
Okay. Wait, Linda, I think you said that you guys would provide quarterly financials to the investors, correct? That quarterly financials is from the fund, not from
the fund,
Alcor,
yeah.
not
But
for
yeah,
Alcor.
because it doesn't have like that much like changes. So the quarterly report is mostly like how many trucks that we're getting and things like that. However, we're following all the US regulation as far as 5506C and things like that, right? So we have separate CPA who's doing that, and then that the fund financial need to be audited every year. That's the same with different CPA auditor.
Right.
So we following the syndication itself, we follow US regulation, but it's the fund.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's good. What is that tax advantage? I saw on the deck something about tax advantage.
Oh, that's Ricardo that be able to
That's-
explain that. That's complicated to me too.
It's very complicated. Is it tax
But
advantage?
Ricardo be able to explain
But the
that.
Yeah.
tax advantage for the investor or for us? As a
Yeah,
company?
exactly. Is it for you guys or is it for Alpha tax advantage? There's for us, I know we get the depreciation, the 80% depreciation.
Okay, for us, I will explain you, and I will try to make myself as clear as possible. So here is the thing. In Mexico, there is a tax that is called IVA tax. And it's flat in all the country, and it's 16%, that IVA tax. So when you, let's say I invoice a lot in Mexico, I have to charge, whenever you rate anything, you say, okay, it's $100. And the customer already knows that it's $100 plus 16% tax. Okay. However, the customer is in the United States. So the customer don't pay the IVA tax by law. This is by law. So I told you 100% of our customers are US based. So we collect zero sales tax, zero. However, we pay tax in Mexico because we have to pay the fuel, we have to pay tires, supplies, even the payroll has tax, everything. So at the end of the year, we always have balance in favor of sales tax that we paid, but we never collect. So at the end of the year, we have sales tax in favor. Now, in order to receive that money, like physical money back, you can imagine what the IRS is going to do, right? They're going to make like the hardest audit that you can even imagine. And if you have maybe a little tiny mistakes in one invoice or whatever, they stop right there. And they say, oh, sorry, there's a mistake, correct it, come back next year. Oh my God.
Oh, I remember this. Okay, just think what this is. We went out to have dinner or at the restaurant, things like that. So Alex has the whole long number that he has to put it at the back of the receipt to be able to claim
an invoice
as a business. Yeah, it's like an invoice, and they need to be able to, like, you know, all merchant has to be able to provide that too. So it's like, I think it's way more trickier than we are in the United States.
Oh yeah, and
When
it's
you
very
get into-
sophisticated,
yeah.
very sophisticated.
Because the audit is very yeah, it's
very tough. So the government says, okay, I give you your money, but if you have a mistake, forget about your money.
Right.
Now,
So the
there is
tax advantage to you guys is that you get to claim it all back. All those sales tax that you pay for your business expenses and purchases, you get to file it with the government, and then you get all that money back. If you
we
do
never
yeah.
get it back. We never get it back, but we can match it up with the income tax or with the
like you offset it,
Right
like
off. The offset, yeah.
off?
yeah, we
Oh,
can
gotcha.
write it off. We will never see it back, never. But we can write it off.
Oh, gotcha.
With
So
the
that's
right with the right
advantage.
procedure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a tax advantage, and that is why we really don't want to move domestic, because that's a great advantage.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
let me tell you something, and that's the problem with the banks, because we have so much IVA tax in favor that, being honest with you, we pay very little taxes. I mean, we pay the taxes that we can't avoid, like the federal tax, the state tax, the payroll tax, something that there's no way you can avoid. But if we present our numbers to a bank and we say, okay, we move $25 million this year. Oh, and how much you pay in taxes? I don't know, 10,000. They say, oh my God, that doesn't make any sense. And that is it. So that is the two parts that we have. We have tax advantage, but when we need to present our finances to a bank, they don't make sense to them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I don't have any other questions. PJ or
I
Maggie?
think Maggie has question, but you know, maybe the other thing too, like, you know, people come up this question all the time is about carrying drugs, right? So because we are dealing with Mexico, there's people that, you know, because your background, you probably go, okay, about the tax advantage, but some people, you know, I have like a few investors, and I try to put it out there so that at least it get answered. You know, the Ricardo probably will be able to explain this further better, either Ricardo or Benito, how the operational is. Because you know, how we be able to, how Mexico run the whole process so that things like this can be avoided. Right, Ricardo? You know, we have a lot of questions regarding the, you know, are you guys gonna do drugs? What is
that can be
route
answered
that
really
difficult?
It's only with one thing that we are avoided. We need to be CityPath certified in order to move to our US brokers. So it's a certification that we need to get. We get audit every 6 months from the US Homeland and Security. So we need to show our processes, cameras, logbooks, everything. So we have the CityPath number. We can send you a screen of that, a screenshot. So we are, the CityPath is pretty much guarantees that our process comply with the not carrying drugs or people or whatever. And we also have safety measures. You know, Mexico is a great country. It's beautiful, safe, but it's like everywhere. If you go to the ghetto, you're going to get in problems. Or if you go to a hot city, you're going to get in problems. So we do the same. Honestly, we have to sometimes, we don't do some routings. We just don't go. That's it.
Thank you guys. I know Maggie and Ragnar had a question, but they want a demonstration of the app, but they do have to drop in a minute or so. So maybe another call, you can do demonstrate the app, how that works.
You know what I can do? I can have Benito to probably record it and then send it to you guys. I think it's a good thing to, you know, we don't have to, to be on the call. And then he can do the whole presentation because he knows better about he's the engineer, and then somebody else doing it, they probably can put together a presentation that way. All right. So we are actually, you know, you guys have everyone's email. If you have questions, just feel free. We're here for 4 years, you guys. Like, you know, this is like a full-blown relationship. So, you know, if like any question don't wait until the quarterly. If any question pop up and I was like, here's something and things like that, I'm pretty much like, you know, an open book. You can reach me, you can reach Ricardo. Ricardo is in Irvine, or call Benito, or even send email to all of us. Any of us be able to handle.
We're here. I mean, I don't know where you are, but we're
question.
here in Irvine. Sometimes we can meet anytime too.
Yes, we can jump in a call anytime too, because I know how it is on the other side. You want to be informed and things like that. So don't wait until the quarterly. The quarterly is kind of like summarize everything. But if you hear something that you want to know the answer, oh, I hear in the news something like this, is everything okay? Or things like that. Don't just call, or we can jump into a conference call and then, you know, talk about it.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was really great meeting Ricardo and Benito and hearing from you guys personally. You guys know your stuff, obviously.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Nice.
Bye, everyone.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Nice to meet you all.